Welcome everyone to the ESL Premiership Apex Legends powered by Intel. I'm Nari Mizuki, I'm going to be one of your casters today, and I'm joined by Retro. How are you doing this evening?
Feel a little bit off center. I don't know what's happened here. I'll shuffle back over. There we are. That's a little better, isn't it? Hi. Yes. ESL Prem no longer CS. Thank God for that. You know, enough of the OTs and the drama. On to Apex Legends. Quicker days, but more action. I'm here for it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We're going to start things off by looking back a little bit. We're going to take a look at the AOC refresh and see what our last play day looked like. We've got a few replays for you guys that we can just take a look at. Never mind, we don't have replays. I was lied to. I'm joking. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And yeah, I mean, so far things have been shaping up, well, it's been pretty much of a muchness, right? It's UTFT absolutely dominating.
Yeah, top of the pack by an absolute long shot. And you know, we were sitting here a few minutes ago, maybe like half hour ago, and we were like, do you know what? Like, is there any pointer today? Feels like they're so clear of the pack, right? And obviously that's always going to be a fun one to see who can catch, who can chase, and more importantly how the middle of the pack goes. But yeah, you are right. UTFT have been on an absolute tear so far this season.
Yeah, and of course, look, the last playdate didn't go as well as they'd hoped. Unfortunately, they didn't, I mean, they've had these dominant days leading up to this, really strong performances day after day. But one bad playday hasn't made all the difference in the world. We will be taking a look at the standings in a moment, and we'll see that things have been, well, still very much in their favor, and unfortunately it does feel like possibly that first place spot is clinched. But we have seen some really good performances from some of our other teams, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to kind of shape up now that we're moving into, bearing in mind this is essentially our semi-final. It's the second last play day. We have 1 day left, which is in 2 days time, on Saturday I believe, which is the last chance saloon for these teams to, you know, get into the second or third spot, because as we said, first spot basically clinched.
Yes, so obviously they want to jump into the action as best as they can and create much of a gap, or rather like sort of fade away the gap for Friday, right, when that grand final is on. And obviously this would be a massive one. Obviously you can see so far ahead at this point in time, you kind of feel, as you said, it's fighting for the best of the rest at this point, right? It is literally fighting for whoever can make the stand and maybe pose most of a threat. Right now, I don't think either of us are going to be convinced that UTFT won't be winning this one.
Yeah, and that is a little bit of a sore spot, I think, for some of our teams. I mean, we looked at quite a few, hoping that they'd be able to pick up a little bit and start to do a little bit better. So now, replays done and dusted, we can go ahead and look at our schedule for the day. Of course, we have 4 rounds to play through, much like each of our other days. Very simple format. It's the one you know and love. Just a heads up, so our first 2 maps are going to be World's Edge, as usual, but our second 2 maps, we're going to be heading over to Storm Point. Retro, what are you feeling about that?
I like the change. I mean, personally, we've been playing on World's Edge for the entire season so far, right? If I'm not mistaken here in ESL Prem. I think this is literally the first day we're going to see it. So, I don't know. Maybe, I'm here for it. Maybe this is going to be the downfall of UTFT, you know? Who knows? Maybe they suck on Storm Point. I mean, I doubt that, but you know, worth the shot. Anyway, let's have a look at the standings, right? And we can have a little chat about sort of how the overall look is here in the event. Of course, we talk about UTFT being top of the pack. They are clear of the rest. 130 points ahead of the Franco-British Union, which of course are in second place right now. Chets are in third, Murky's fourth, Mythic in fifth. Obviously, the prize pool right now, £5,000. You know, the higher you get, really, the better it looks for you in terms of how much money you're going to be scoring and taking home. So, yes, they're going to be pushing for exactly that, Hissam. And I think, you know what, they've got a decent chance at closing that gap, because looking between fourth and second specifically, today we head into this one with, what, a 42-point gap. That's it.
Oh, geez. And UTFT sitting on 12 wins. Absolutely unreal. It's so hard to believe that they've done this incredibly well. And there are some teams that we were kind of hoping would do a bit better. You know, Echo, for example, one of those teams that you were hoping was going to show a bit more of a performance, but haven't really had that opportunity. So now we can go ahead and take a look at what our meta has been shaping up so far in this tournament, some of the legends that have been picked. And, well, of course, it's going to be Valkyrie absolutely leading the pack at 30% pick rate. And, of course, that mobility is so... You cannot overstate how important that is.
One thing I was a little bit confused about, Lifeline being like
right?
the lower half. I would have thought Lifeline would have been like so much higher picked in this. Well, personally, maybe I'm just greedy when I play Apex. Octane being second bottom, for me, that's picked every game, you know? Like, if I'm not playing it, someone else is having it. Maybe, you know, a little more team friendly here in the Premiership rather than whatever I play when I'm on the game. But that does surprise me when Octane isn't higher up there. Bloodhound as well, I mean, kind of understandable, as you said. I think there are better options. But Lifeline is the biggest surprise to me. The fact that Lifeline sits in the bottom half of these pick percentages of legend picks here does actually really, really surprise me.
It's funny you said that. So when you started on Lifeline, I thought you were going to go with, I'm surprised she's getting picked at all. And I was like, yeah. And then you were like, I'm surprised she's not in the top half. And I was like, wait, what?
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that her utility is that good.
Okay, well,
yeah.
maybe I'll be shut up today. But I would have thought it would have been a little, maybe not as much. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. I'd have thought the percentage is higher. I'm not saying it would have been in the top half, but I feel like I saw it a lot in day one when I was around. Like I saw a Lifeline a lot, so it surprises me at least. I should have said that, right? That from going off what I've seen myself in day one, I'm surprised that percentage isn't a little bit higher than what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I was taking a look at some of the better performing teams. You look at like UTFT and Echo, right? Some of the teams that we did mention, and some really popular combinations with things like Watson and Valkyrie. Sorry, not Watson. Wraith and Valkyrie for some really, really solid mobility. And then you have a third that can do a little bit more of the bunkering down. So we saw a bit of Rampart, actually, which was really, really surprising. But it does have some interesting utility to play with. And then Horizon as well. There's a little bit of extra mobility in that as well. We saw a few Watsons coming through, and I mean, Watson hasn't really been massively in the meta for quite some time. She was huge about 2 years ago when the bunker meta was at its absolute peak, and then of course you had Crypto come out, and that kind of knocked her right out, and Crypto himself wasn't all that good. I mean, you were talking about Bloodhound, and of course one of the reasons that he's knocked down the ladder quite substantially is because of the existence of Sia, right? The amount of information that he's able to gain far outweighs Bloodhound's his historical ability. So I think that for the most part, this does shape up to be fairly expected. I'm a little sad to see that Jibby's not higher up there. I know that for a while he was having a really, really solid time, you know, when they buffed his shield when he's looking down sight. But, you know, you got to keep the meta constantly shifting and changing. And I think that's one of the things I like so much about Apex, is that it does constantly shift and change.
And I think actually people are very quick to pick up on new ideas and try new things out, right? Like, it's one of those games, you know, maybe other brands of ESL Prem that we've had, you know, I think back to the Counter-Strike, and obviously at some point you're always gonna plateau in terms of like how teams are gonna play a certain map. But in this, it feels like, as you said, every other day there might be a new idea, a new strategy, a new way to play Apex Legends. And obviously this is probably the best scenario to do it in, right? When we're in the closing stages, you want to try and secure a few extra pounds for your team, obviously in terms of prize pool. And so maybe, you know, when things are a little more desperate in times like this, as you said, with only one more play day after this one on Friday, this is going to be it, right? Teams are going to bring out all sorts of strategy to just see if they can make things work and push themselves a couple of places higher.
Yeah, and you know, just to kind of backtrack a little bit onto the whole Storm Point thing, I like the point that you were making about, you know, with this being a big difference. I mean, most of the competitive Apex has been played on World's Edge, not just here, and it's because it is such a good map, and so teams might not be as stratted, right?
Yes.
So now we'll just take a look back at the overall standings once again, because I think that this is a really important point to just look at, right? So we've spoken about how UTFT, are very much ahead of the pack, but when you look at the points discrepancy among the 3rd to 4th place teams, you can easily make up those points over a couple of games, right? If you can secure yourself a win, that's huge in and of itself. But even if you can't get a win, maybe just a fairly decent placing and then some kills. We've actually seen some really, really high kill games as well. I think on the last day that I was on the broadcast, Echo came out with like a 48-point game or something equally stupid because they had so many kills on top of the placement. So I think that there's definitely some movement that can happen within that second to fourth place. However, the 5th to 10th positions, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think at this point it's almost impossible for them to get a placing. What do you think?
Certainly to get a medal, right, Sam? But obviously in ESL Prem, top 9 positions get prize money, so that's always something to note. For Eco, of course, they're going to be in a difficult spot. You know, it's not too ideal that you're sitting 40 odd points behind the gang lot in 9th place. Obviously, it's 7th to 8th in the next bracket. They get paid £200. 5th to 6th gets 300. So already you're looking at a 3-point gap between earning your team an extra £100, right? Like these are some seriously close numbers. Obviously, the first place is 1900, and it feels like UTFT have already got that one, hook, line, and sinker. Second place for 900, and then third place is 500. So it's a £400 gap between second and third. Oof. So that leaves us with a lot of questions, right? And I think it leads into your point quite nicely, is that the chance of getting into that top 5 is probably pretty hard now, especially, you know, with Mythic being 30 points ahead of the TMS boys. I will say one thing, is that fight for second place has only just begun. And as I said, considering there's a £400 gap between them, there is plenty of opportunity and plenty of incentive for these teams to give it everything, give it full beans heading into the last 2 days.
And Chets and the Franco-British Union have been kind of dancing around each other quite a bit over the course of this tournament. So I'll be very curious to see which one of those two actually do wind up coming on top. But that's just about it for our opening segment here, folks. We're going to be back with the game in just a few minutes. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, grab a quick drink. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back, everyone. So we are just about ready to jump into our very, very first round here on Play Day 8, the semi-finals of the ESL Premiership Apex Legends powered by Intel. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what these teams are going to be able to bring for us here today. As we said, there's quite a lot on the line and quite a bit of space for some of our teams to try and fill to get into placement.
And I think prize money is what we're looking at now, right? At least in the start of the season here in the ESL Premiership Apex Legends, we weren't talking about the money brackets or whatever, and if you make the bubble and what have you. Now, it's a little more serious because we're a little closer to that goal, right? And there's less time to make the change in your placement. So, yeah, I think this is going to be the time where teams are really going to try and get stuck in if they're a little bit behind. For those that are clear, maybe UTFT are going to have some fun, but I'm thinking for those kind of sitting 2nd to 5th right now, it is just going to be, you know, play the cleanest Apex Legends that you can. Just don't take fights unless if it's necessary and score those placements because we know how influential they've been. I mean, look at UTFT, right? 12 wins, top of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So I always get very curious about what play styles we're going to be seeing coming through from teams when we get to this very, very late stage in the game. Now, the teams that are at the lower end of the spectrum that know that they are more or less out, they're the teams that I tend to watch for because they know that there's really nothing that they can do to get back into it. So Do they, do they land on the top squad and try and cause chaos for them? Do they just play the game like they would any other game? Do they try and kind of mess with some other teams a little bit, right? Get in their heads a bit and just cause chaos? These are all the questions that I genuinely start to wonder. And then, of course, when you look at your teams like Franco-Brit Reunion and Chets that are so close together, maybe we see them try to contest each other off jump, off launch. There's a lot of different possibilities for how these teams might take this next couple of games. But that's going to be us heading straight on into our first game at last. Round 1 of Play Day 8. As we said before, it is going to be World's Edge. And now we're going to, well, at this point, of course, it's the looting simulator. The players jumping out of that skyship and trying to find their very best loadout.
Obviously, as you can see, 8 squads apparently here, so we don't even get the full 10. To be honest, you know what, Sam? I'm gonna hit it straight out of the gate. I'm gonna play the bad cop here.
Go on.
Why aren't you playing? You know, if you're the 2 squads that are missing.
Okay, I thought you meant me for a second, and I was like, what do you mean? Why am I not playing?
No. I mean, I was making a joke with Neo about this, right? And we were saying, like, imagine if, like, the casters had signed up with a team. Like, do you know how funny that would be? Like, oh, yeah, sorry, guys, I can't actually cast today. I'm actually playing in the event. Like, no. I will say... Go on. Go on.
Well, I just wanted... There's a funny story.
Okay.
So, when, like, way back in the day, we had the X-Pulse tournament. We had, like, Shiv on as an analyst, and it was, like, a whole thing. It was amazing. And... I don't know if everybody knows Kano, but Kano is the GOAT of Apex Esports. Since day 1, he's been running the Wikipedia page for a while. I think he still is with Alliance doing like community stuff. He is literally the GOAT of Apex. And
right.
He was a part of that event as well. He was helping us out with it. And we had an issue where we only had 19 squads. And at that time, it caused so much havoc in the game. So we had to put Kano into the game so that the game would launch properly. And he would just like jump straight out of the skyship and fall off the map. And it turned into this huge running joke about like, when is Kano going to go pro, you know? Because he's in the pro games. It's good times. Miss those days. But go on, you were saying about the minimal teams.
Yeah, well, listen, if there's 10 teams, right, and I just said 9 of them make the money, how are there only 8 to server, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe there are connection issues, someone's missed out on the first game, 2 teams to miss completely. Like, come on. I'll say it straight up. There's free money here, you know? Get me in, Sam. I reckon if me and you, right now, joined the game, had some fun, had a laugh, you know? I mean, it wouldn't quite be a broadcast, it would be more like a Twitch stream, like an actual Twitch stream than anything, but at least get me in, you know? I'd like the money. Top 9 make it. I mean, if Eco were involved, then this could be very free, especially if one of those lower teams aren't in the picture, because, you know, they were at quite the deficit, but at least, you know, they don't have to climb the upward hill twice in terms of getting the points and then the other teams also getting points. It's just about playing the game of chase. So, why aren't we playing? I mean, Murky's down to 2. That's always unfortunate. You know, we see 23 players in 8 squads, so they unfortunately take to just the 2 of them.
All right. A little bit of pot shots being taken. Not too much getting done. Got some interesting information at the very least, so I'm going to be able to spot out where an enemy team is, and of course in a tight spot here with only 2 players alive, so they're going to get instantly pushed on. Anyone who knows Murky is down a player is going to attempt to take this, and that's going to be Franco Brits throwing everything they have at this. Gonna wrap around, start firing in the first. Oh my goodness, that did not end the way that he had hoped it would. This is just not going their way. 3 versus 2 and they just absolutely bottled it. What happened?
That is embarrassing. I will point, maybe not laugh, because the Franco Brits are better than me, the Franco British Union. That's the 2nd place team in this tournament. Just got beat by Murky, who are, by the way, 4th place, but only playing with 2 people.
That's amazing. And they used so many of their abilities as well. They had all of the seer information. They knew what was going on, and they just like 1-for-1 funneled in and got mowed down. Well, that is quite the start to our first play day here. A bit unlucky for the Franco-Brits, but again, they're not terribly scared of falling out of that top 3. Again, they'd like to maintain the second place, so that could be a little bit daunting. But yeah, for the most part, I don't think they're too fussed.
I can't believe you've just seen a 2v3.
Seriously. Are we is this CS or?
Yeah. I don't know. That is criminal. One interesting way to start the day. Let's see if anyone else wants to throw together a bit of pressure. By the looks of things, nothing too much going on right now. It is dead silence, as you would expect, right? 7 squads. Probably going to be a while until we see some action.
Waiting for that ring to close in. I wonder if we could possibly get the map up so we could see where all of the different teams are, if production is able to do that. But in the meantime, we'll continue. Oh wow, I mean, they are so far away from anyone else on the planet as well. Murky, like, so they've got some kill points, which is massive. There it is. Alrighty. Ooh, okay, so we've got one team out in the zone here, and this is, of course, Murky. So taking very, very light damage, but they're going to need to be quite quick about getting back into the safer area, and I think that this is the better play for them, you know, with only 2 players alive. They can get that last minute looting in, anything that wasn't already touched on. But as we look to where the circle is closing towards survey camp, we've got 3 teams playing in that area already, so that could very quickly turn into a bloodbath, particularly as our remaining teams start making their way in and potentially getting caught on those rotations. Oh, I hope they make it alive.
I was going to say, that HP bar, keep a keen eye on it. Marsh should be alright. Got to heal up first, I was going to say, medkit going to be used. Yeah. And then no worries at all, getting back into the ring ever so slowly. Has taken a little while, but they've gotten there in the end. And they'll just be able to ping themselves back through. Shouldn't be too much of a worry here. Still, dead silent across the board. I guess, I mean, I don't know how many rings we're going to be waiting until the action starts, but at least players are immediately forced a little closer together. It's not the worst. There we are. Everyone's in. Everyone's safe. No one's dying to the ring today. That's at least the plus.
Yeah, we take the small victories.
Exactly. Know? Got to take them where we can. Especially after watching a 2v3 and only 8 teams turning up. Anyway.
Bless him.
It's alright. I'll curb my anger now, but just thought I'd try and get it in one more time.
I still am quite impressed with Murky. I'll be curious to see how they do in this lobby. Seems there's a lot of tenacity on that roster. We head on over to Mythic here, who found themselves in an engagement. Again, those pot shots being fired across the map. But there's a clear aggression here, right? They want to close the gap. They want to get in nice and close so they can take control of this battle. And, well, they do have the horizon for a little bit of mobility. I'm loving the Bangalore. I know Shiv would be very, very proud to see this in a pro game. But, yeah, they don't have a ton of mobility. So it really is just about legging it as much as you can.
So, feels like Mythic have picked ignoring the Legend Select statistics that we had. Like, I feel like we picked, it feels like everyone from the bottom half at this point, but shouldn't be too much of a worry. They've currently got the circle in their favour. They're currently in the next ring, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The teams are going to be squished a little closer together, which might just make out for a few gunfights. Obviously, we saw some engagements happening, but it's also burn your utility at the end of the day, you know, to stop your batteries coming in and what have you. Shield bat's obviously quite important for the late game when you're starting to take these engagements, so the more they can take them away here, Sam, it's more integral for other teams at the later stage.
I like this slower pace as well from all of these teams. Just try and keep it, you know, as slow as possible. Don't overextend when unnecessary. Gain some ground when you can, but Don't take unnecessary risks, right? It was what we were talking about a little bit earlier on. Don't take those fights if you don't absolutely have to. And we have now spotted out UTFT, who of course are our top point scorers at the moment. Their overall points sitting at 384, which is absolutely absurd. Fun little statistic here. They have 157 kill points over the course of this tournament, which of course is our highest score out of every team. So not only can they place, they can also get ridiculous frags, and that really does speak to their ability to do well. But here you go. They found themselves immediately up against Chet's Esport, and they forced Chet's to retreat. They see UTFT, they're like, nah, I'm out. When I'm not taking that fight.
We are. Some engagement being made. Chet's want to get stuck in. To be honest. Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say, no one's taken much. Its coach has dropped. UTFT, want bloods? They've got it.
Get themselves one kill, and I mean, they've barely taken any damage off the back of that. Now they're able to very, very quickly get themselves back up to full, and they're not going to get greedy about this, right? This is one of the reasons that they are the top team. No sense in getting greedy. Got one kill. That's all we need, right? We can go back and find them if necessary, but for now, you know, they claimed the spot that they wanted, and this is a perfect spot to potentially catch players rotating in from the hot zone. If they do decide to push in through this tunnel, there'll be a great vantage point for UTFT.
Okay, I was going to say, for some action to happen, Murky, obviously having played with only 2 players today, you know, putting themselves already at a disadvantage. We saw how impressive they were in the initial fight. Got themselves a whole squad wipe between just the duo. And certainly acting to be a decent side here. Still waiting for the inevitable to happen. It was Nick dropping one of the other players. Joe Bear dropped to his knees, and I don't think they're going to be living for too much longer here, as see, they were down to 2 originally. This high ground is going to have to be used as something substantial here in their name. And by the looks of things, they'll be given at least another minute of it.
I like this high ground positioning from Chets. It's a good spot to try and catch people off. Ooh, Murky in a quite literal uphill battle. No shot, they've just taken another 2v3. No shot. Preds of the West down. And the thing is, Preds of the West, so a few days ago, this is the team that took on another team and got third-partied by 3 more teams after that first one, and they survived. They almost wiped the entire lobby by themselves, and they just got 2v3'd.
By Murky, who are a team
by Murky.
That sure are above them, but not by much. Only sit 3 places above the Preds of the West. And this is looking real good now for a side, as you said, that shouldn't really have much of a say in this game and probably should have taken the earliest exit of the lot. Now, looking to do even more, looking to try and put up better and bigger numbers. Some of these shield cells are going to have to be used to replenish the damage taken, but again, it's a moment of silence across the server right now. The question is, who's going to be the next team to push into Murky? Because, if I'm honest, I'm a bit of a Murky fan in this game. Now I know they're playing with 2 and they're wrecking squads of 3 here, Sam. I'm with them.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan. I'd like to see them do well. But now, of course, the zone is closing in once again. Some of those players in such a good spot, right? We've got UTFT in that beautiful little crevice for themselves, but no one's going to be moving in that direction, so unlikely they're going to be able to catch anyone on the cross. Instead, they're all kind of moving in from the south side up towards Survey Camp, and there's 2 teams that are watching that opening area, and I do say open because this map is one of the more open in the pool at the moment, so you have to be very careful about how you maneuver your way in. UTFT have moved out of their initial spot. They've gotten into a little bit of an engagement. Nick Bod is down, almost. Ooh, I thought he was down, but no. With a sliver of HP, he's able to reposition, but will he be able to survive? His teammate goes down. Nah, that's it. That's Chet's off the board. UTFT, they were out for blood, and they got it.
It's not bad. A side that we have, you know, always sung our praises about in this ESL Premiership season. Sticking sticking around into the late game. Marsh, Marito, could be a fair bit between them here. It's quite literally stuck between a rock and a hard place, it feels like at that point there. Certain eyes are on them. Definitely not going to improve their odds of being out of this one alive. But the fact that they've even managed top 5, considering there was 8 squads, and they're the only duo, just goes to show, right? There it is possible that we have got some seriously good talent here in the Prem.
Right, Mythic have found themselves in a little bit of danger. That Bangalore smoke coming in clutch, helping to keep Teddy alive as they start to reposition, get themselves out of danger, and start moving as quickly away as possible, because of course that zone closing on in very, very soon, very shortly, and they need to find themselves a good spot. And they're still being fired at. And thankfully, you know, Bangalore has that double time, so she can get out of danger relatively quickly. But they've moved out of one firing range and into another. And this is the danger we were talking about with these teams and where their positionings are. The moment you try to make a move, you're in huge trouble. Cat Jam now find themselves in an engagement as well, with player having gone down. And I think I spotted out too much source as well, just way out into the open with not much space to work with. These teams have found themselves in very, very spicy spots.
Great lot of damage to our Lawmans for the Cat Jam squad here. Be careful, still a lot going on right now, and as the ring continues to shrink, now is our time to force the fight. It's too much source. Also taking a fair bit of damage. It's Milo and Wabak that have eaten the majority of it, as that wingman still popping off.
Love the wingman, right? One of the staple guns since the dawn of Apex, and it still does the job, but now up close and personal. We're going to bring out the automatic. We're going to try and spray down as much as possible. And there you go. Murky finally eliminated off screen as Too Much Source fight to stay alive here in this engagement. Of course, that knockdown shield. There you go. Took a little bit, but they managed to get that last kill and get that player off the board. Now with the last player on that team attempting to escape via the balloon, not to be. Sunny mows him down, and at the same time Mythic goes down off screen as well. I think that brings us down to like 2 teams. Yeah,
2. You're all right. 3v3. UTFT in the picture. I mean,
and it was Too Much Source. Yeah,
Too Much Source. Bets. What's winning? Who's winning?
oh, it's UTFT.
Yeah.
I'm a Too Much Source fan, I'll be honest, but UTFT, nah. They've just been so good. They have great positioning, and they've got some nice, you know, utility and stuff available to them, having slaughtered so many other teams. So they could just hop from death box to death box, kit it out to the absolute max, and here's that aggression that I was waiting for. They know exactly where Too Much Source is, and they're going to be in it to win it.
Jack want to get closer for comfort, as you said. Aggressiveness has been the name of the game for this UTFT side throughout this entire series and in through this entire Premiership. They are at least respecting them enough to give them a little bit of distance here. I think they're just waiting to see, you know, if they can do any initial damage, and then obviously someone has to go back and heal or you know, use the shields and whatever to get back up, and then that's their perfect time to exploit. You see Jack's moving over to the left, and while that does kind of isolate a UTFT player, they're a good distance and good range to know what's up. Not to mention as well, Jack knows the pinpoint location of the opposition. This is going to be our first fight breaking out, although Jack's under a little bit more threat than the opposition here. Has to try and dodge and get out of harm's way. Shield battery going to be used, and ultimately, doesn't look to be the TMS boys are out of this one just yet.
Still fighting for survival here, but a nice little crack's gonna come through from Jack as the damage continues to fly out from this UTFT squad. Too Much Source trying so hard to remain alive in this, using that utility to just put pressure on the UTFT squad, force them back a little bit, stop them from being able to fire in. Now Jack gonna try to reposition, instantly caught out. The coordination from Too Much Source here has been so good, but now Jack has caught Wise, so he's gonna try and isolate one. No, oh my goodness, gets down to 1 HP. His team cannot back him up. He loses Genji, and now it's just down to Nez, the last player left alive at a 1 versus 3. We've seen a 2v3. Can he pull off the 1v3? He's still alive somehow. Gonna back up into this. Try and get some information. He's in a tight spot.
It's not the worst position to be in. As you said, he got the 1 knock. At least that's promising. Problem is, as you said, It's a 1v3 to begin with. He's going to try and push in. Wants to take the fight. There you go. Knockdown shield tried to use to his advantage. Can't find it with the Eva. Has to reposition. Wants to come in from the right-hand side. And he will find really good damage. But he's
No way.
himself. Got to keep firing. Got to keep hitting his shots.
No
oh
way.
my god, it's so damn close right now. Somehow alive. Somehow kicking.
What?
And he gets the 1v3. UTFT win game 1.
The timing on that is so unbelievable because he realizes that someone on Too Much Sauce is trying to get a res off. So just at the last second, he runs out, manages to deny the res from coming through, and then uses the knockdown shields to be able to reload his weapon, survives long enough to be able to do that. Absolutely unreal victory. I'm super impressed, and this exactly shows why they are at the top of our leaderboard. But ladies and gentlemen, that is game 1 of our Playday done and dusted. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be back for game 2. Welcome back, everyone, to the ESL Premiership Apex Legends. And we've just had our very first round here on Play Day 8. UTFT coming out on top. I don't think we expected anything else, but Murky having a really impressive showing nonetheless.
As I say, I think this is actually the way that UTFT win the game, rather than the fact that they do win it, right? It was a 1v3 scenario, if I'm not mistaken. UTFT should never have had a chance in this one, as you can see. It was a slaughter from beginning to end, and they didn't know their way back in. But ultimately, UTFT don't falter whatsoever, and they get themselves through with another bundle of points, and ultimately just move further and further, more convincingly, into that top spot.
Yeah, Really, honestly, such an impressive ending. We'll see it replayed here. Nez was just so outstanding, maintaining control and poise the whole way through. Really, really beautiful performance there. And of course, that's going to top them even further. Like, they were already at the top of the scoreboard. They didn't need to win that round, but they went ahead and they did it anyway. That bumps them all the way up to 407 total points. That is 150 points more than the team that is directly behind them, and they have 168 kill points on top of that. Just so impressive. So we can take a look at our standings now updated. I've already given you UTFTs, so you can take a look and see. Well, there you go. Too Much Sauce coming in second was a much needed bit of points for them with the 11 kills as well. Murky, 8 points there because, of course, they came in fourth, but also they got a few squad kills, which is really impressive.
And considering there's only 2 of them, right? Like, that's also pretty cool to see. I will say, for the Too Much Sauce guys, I think they're going to be a little bit disappointed they didn't win the game, but, you know, next to the UTFT, at least you secured the top score, right, in terms of the amount of points gathered in this one overall. So, yeah, they can't hate it. Obviously, they're going to try and make a push for Mythic, who are the team below them in this semi-final round 1 scoring, but they are above them right now by a matter of a few tens of points. So it's not a terrible scenario to be in. And of course, as we have a look at the overall standings, you can see that Too Much Sauce probably need a little bit better out of them, but they can actually get stuck in and maybe make a 5th place appearance here if Mythic continue to have a bad day, or if Too Much Sauce can amp up the pressure and start getting some wins.
Yeah, and I mean, as mentioned, right, Franco, despite the fact that they went out quite early in that round, weren't too concerned. They are still quite comfortably in that 2nd place position, so just waiting for someone to try and come topple the crown from their head. So really, really solid first round here from a lot of these teams, and hoping to see a little bit more out of that. Hopefully we do get Murky's 3rd player in. I'm not too sure what the situation there was, but being 2v3 is not great. So yeah, hopefully we can bring them back up to full power.
Yes, we can obviously move on as well with this one, and obviously being said that UTFT top of the pop, but it is indeed the Franco-British Union in 2nd place. Let's have a look at today's standings overall, though. Obviously looking quite bare right now, not filled up in terms of all the rounds. That's because we've got 3 more to go. This is our final time of seeing World's Edge today, by the way, in round 2. Bit weird to say that, but indeed it is Storm Point in round 3 and 4, which will always lead to some fun stuff there. Too Much Sauce probably need a few more points in their back pocket here. UCFT, as you would expect in that top spot.
Yep, good start though, at the very least. Managing to get themselves 11 points overall. And I went and I checked. It looks like they only got 2 kills in that round. But at the end of the day, they were able to rake in quite a few points for themselves regardless. So if they can keep that up, if they can try and get some good placement and maybe get a few more kills along the way, then that would, of course, be the ideal situation, particularly if they want to try and claw their way into one of those top 3 slots. It's starting to get a little bit competitive. I say starting. That 2nd to 4th place has been very, very competitive for quite some time here. So we're looking to see if there's going to be a bit more upward movement from some of our other teams. And that whole game, there was less of the how would you phrase it? Like crazy plays to try and dethrone top teams than I'd kind of expected. It really was very, very straightforward, very thought out, and teams were playing 100% how you would expect them to be playing in a top tier tournament. So it's nice to see that they are still taking this very, very seriously, and they are, pushing to try and get the best out of these games as they possibly can. Of course, we did mention that the lobby is a little bit smaller than we'd like, so it's not quite where they want it to be. But they're going to try and get as much out of it as they can.
Yes, indeed. We should be moving into the action very, very soon, Hissam, and obviously I'm excited to see if UTFT can make it 2 for 2 today. Obviously, they've been looking pretty on point throughout this whole season already, so let's see it. Right, we're going to be heading into the action. It is our 2nd round of today here in the semi-finals in Play Day 8, and obviously it's the ESL Prem. Nothing's changed there.
It'd be really funny if we were suddenly on another tournament. Don't mind the bar at the top there. I know it does say round 1, but it is round 2. And it is the semi-final. That is very much correct, folks. This is the second last day that these teams have an opportunity to try and make something happen for themselves. And all right, UTFT, Skyhook, they enjoy landing there. I'd wondered if that was like a strategic thing, but no, that is where they actually do like to land, and that's where they're going to be headed once again. And again, much like what we'd seen previously, a lot of density towards the southern area of the map. A lot of teams down there, which could turn dangerous very quickly.
I'm still waiting to just get straight to the deep end of the action, you know? I want to see very fast games come out and just, you know, I mean, obviously, it'd be pretty cool to see, but only 8 squads, maybe not as hype. But I'd just love to see all that brawl, really. I mean, we saw a little bit of it in the last game. The fact that there's only 8 teams, a little bit saddening, but well, I think we made the best of it here. Obviously, it's the first season, hopefully not the last for ESL Prem Apex. I think, personally, probably want to be told a little bit more in advance. I guess for some of these teams, maybe commitment was hard as well, because I think there are other qualifiers going on, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
Sam,
LGS is on at the moment as well, yeah.
So, you know, teams are going to be prioritising maybe the bigger events and the larger scale tournaments. So, I think this one, nice to see, obviously, that we're dabbling into a new title here in the ESL Prem.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of this. It was something I was mentioning on my first broadcast day, but the Apex scene and of course the EMEA region in particular has been absolutely chomping at the bit for some competition, right? You have ALGS and you have very little third party, and then over in NA, like, they have the Knights Carnage Cup and they have like a few other tournaments, but in EU, very, very starved for competition. So to have something like this, I think would be massive for the scene, for the community, give people a chance to see, you know, who are the up-and-coming players, the regional stars. It'd be really nice to see this grow to, you know, a little bit more than what we have currently. But I think it's a good start. It's a good springboard point. And, yeah, hopefully that takes off.
Knows in a few seasons' time it could be a banger event. We could have all of the marbles when it comes to the UK teams, obviously, or the UK and Ireland teams, I should say.
Yes.
Obviously, if you want to get stuck in, probably best time to start following the socials at ESL UK on Twitter.
Hell yeah.
Follow over there, so you don't miss out on that Apex Legends content. I mean, there's going to be nothing to do with CS until the new year now as well, so you are really in the world of Apex Legends knowledge if you go and drop a follow there, and yeah, keep up to date, because I think hopefully there's been the works going on for a second season of ESL Prem Apex, because I think they know as well they could probably pump out another season. It'll be so much better than this one. I think it was literally just about overlapping tournaments, right? It's probably the only issue as to why we haven't seen this you know, full lobbies every single evening. Is just, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's a bit of a toe dip. Hopefully we can take the plunge in, you know, maybe a couple of months or...
Do you know what? As a first tournament, like, it's probably perfect that kind of thing happens, you know? Because then, at the end of the day, it's like you test it, as you said, and then you can hit it with your first proper tournament with experience, and it will be a banger, because everyone will know what it has been like.
Oh, Teddy's found himself in a little bit of danger, isolated from his team. Now he's going to have to double time his way out of there. Shield is already absolutely depleted, and he's running out of HP as well. His teammates don't seem to have come to his rescue either. They're kind of waving at him from across the way there as he tries to make his way to safety. Checking to see if anybody's following. Now the suppressive fire starts to come in. Oh, that's what they were going for. A little care package. Give themselves a little bit of extra there, and it was definitely needed at that point. Teddy, I mean, still, Teddy in a bit of a tight spot. They've clearly had a rough looting situation overall, so he hasn't been able to kit himself out quite nicely, and now that they're getting closed in on, could mean that they're in a bit of danger here. Oh.
Gotta be careful. I like the PKC though. Far and away. Trying to do anything he can with the G7 Scout. Good movement, as we can see. New location, new opportunities for Clone. For the Franco Brits, got to be careful, because I think didn't expect there to be someone as hot on his heels as there is right now.
Again, it's just kind of A little bit of pot shots, bit of suppressive fire, bit of cover fire. No investment just yet. Oh, that's a dangerous movement right out into the open. But Teddy does get spotted out, so he's going to get forced off of his angle. JC has gone down. This is a good look for Mythic to be able to get one. Now if they can try to follow that up. We've got a shield crack as well. So the Franco Brits in a bit of trouble. Scratch that. They're gone. Nice. Well played, Mythic. And that's our second place team out very early again. In fact, this is the second round in a row that they're the team to go out first. That's a rough look.
Very rough look. I don't think there's any denying that. It should never have been this early of an exit for them, especially, as you said, when they're contending for a second spot that, you know, behind them there are teams that, with a couple of games, certainly can make it there, certainly can get to the spot that they're in. So, yeah, got to be careful. For now, pretty decent so far, obviously, for the other side of things, right? For the team that are able to eliminate early on, it's 3 points, and you just edge yourself closer to the top end of the placements.
Oh, looks like Murky do have their third player. Thank goodness for that. Love to see it. Now we'll see they are closing in on another squad here. So there you go. That Seer ability coming through there. Give themselves a little bit of sight. Nothing gets spotted directly ahead, so they know that they need to wander to the left or the right. And of course the shots come fired from the right-hand side. There's the Bloodhound as well. Not Bloodhound, it's still Seer. I'm being a clown. But they do get that information, and that's the important part. So they're going to actually press this, and oh, getting caught out on the zip line. That's the worst possible position.
The autopilot from you, calling it Bloodhounds. That's all right. We've all been there. I mean, I did it at the beginning, you know. We were laughing about it in the break. I look like a bit of a noob.
You think Lifeline is good? I mean...
Well, you know. maybe I just, you know... Yeah, do you know what? I don't even have to give an excuse. No, it's not. No, I'm not falling for that. I was going to say there's a knock in the meantime. Not too sure if that's one that's going to get picked up upon completely. Murky certainly applying the pressure here.
What?
That's
he must have got stuck?
Where, like, he tabbed out, like, Windows update forced on him, like, you know, one of those kind of problems. He just stood there and he's tanked a whole mag, and fortunately going to walk away nearly with his life at stake, but Prince here to save the day, and that's Chet's Esports eliminated.
Whew, alright, that got a little bit hairy there for Murky, but, I mean, if they could take teams in a 2v3, they can surely do it in a 3v3, even if one of their players was offline for a second, you know, they come back into it, and they do manage to come out on top of it, and that's what we needed from that team, see a little bit more of that spark. And again, I'm going to ask production, pretty please. Ah, you read my mind. So good. Ah, so good. And the ring is actually closing in on where UTFT are. So it looks like they were actually positioned in a really good spot. We'll see if they can find themselves a nice... Because for the most part, they've been a bit of a circle sweep team. Not circle sweep, but they've played much closer towards the middle. They haven't really been a... find a position really early on and hunker down kind of team. So now they're in that position. The ring is closing in on their position. And so they're going to have to play around that a little bit as the rest of the team start making their way in. We've actually got teams, I'll talk about the circle sweeping. We've got a few of those teams at the moment. 3 of them kind of rotating around, checking for that last little bit of loot that they could possibly scrounge together here and hopefully get themselves out that little bit more before the engagement start. Oh, UTFT are about to run into too much sauce. We got the end of the last game already happening. And it looks like it's 3 teams closing in around each other as well, right here in the circle. So each of them are trying to find a good position to set up, and the other teams have already started rotating in. So now they have to try and stake their claim on their position.
Chilling. As you said, like, it feels like a lot of these teams hunker down early on. At least we're starting to see people look for these engagements, whether that's obviously short-lived or not, is I don't know. But teams certainly trying to at least get clued up as to where the others are, because of course kill points are a little bit more, or sorry, placement points are a little more influential because there's less kill points to get, right? So every little helps. So I guess for these teams, maybe looking to get a little more information, just know where they can come from, where teams are going, just all of the pieces to the puzzle that can be more regularly updated gives you a better picture as to how to play this one out, especially with those zones coming in and the rings getting smaller.
Mythic pushing in here, trying to get a good shot on too much sauce. There you go, trying to get some upward trajectory. Dennis instantly jumps straight on in, firing out through the Watson barriers. Not going to push in, not going to do that unnecessarily. Already manages to get one knock through that, while the rest of his team pushes into the building from the other side. The spray from across the room has come true. And that's too much sauce, down and out. But UTFT are very, very close by. Do they choose to go in for... No, it's not going to be them going for the third party. It's Catjam looking to try and take out the squad that have just come out of a fight. Now, this can work out very, very well, but they've already taken so much damage. Roudzy already off the board. Mythic looking poised to potentially take a second team down. And so they have. The screen was a bit blurry there. Crypto got us, but Catjam is down. And now we've got yet another team coming in. Mythic with a second third party in a row. Can they survive? Teddy's already down.
Yeah, this is looking promising as well for that third party. You said Mythic down by one already. Mains then is just going to try and try and live on. Supply a chance for his team to get further forward. Of course, you're looking for those extra points at the end of the day. Very, very slow right now. But then again, we've only got 4 squads remaining, you know? I feel like this game's gone a lot quicker than the last.
This just in, folks. That Murky player that just, like, stopped moving, his controller disconnected.
Wow.
Wasn't even a Windows update. Yeah, controller, by the way.
Are you a controller gamer?
Hell no. Unless it's like God of War, you know? Then...
The only time I use a controller, F1, because I'm still saving up my dollars to buy a rig, like a proper one, and I'll probably do that a little later on, because I need a car right now. What do you mean, nerd? I've got to save up for a real car before I spend it on F1 cars, right? And then, also, I'd say Plater. That's the only other game I play with a controller right now.
What the hell is that? What is Plater?
You've never heard of Plate Up?
Oh, no.
It's like up to 4-player game. You've got to like make food and like it's like super. It's like a cartoony game. You'll have to search it up on Steam. It's honestly, it's a lot of fun. Me and a couple of friends were up very, very late at night. It's like 3:30 in the morning, and we were just playing this game, just laughing and having a good time. It's the only other game I use controller-wise.
Well, our controller squad are potentially in a bit of trouble here. As the Seer taken quite a little bit of damage here, so they're going to be forced off of their position. They've had to give up their hold on the entry point of that tunnel. Don't want to get taken out unnecessarily, right? Because like you said, right, placement, very important. And they're looking to try and get a better placing if they can. They got quite a few kills in the previous. I think they got 8 kills in the previous game. I mean, they're 2v3 situations going on. They followed that up quite nicely. But now they want to try and get some placing as well so they can slowly climb their way up. But Mythic did manage to survive. The third party did not complete. They got Teddy back up. And now they're still in full force. And you gotta wonder about the team that tried to third party them. Would it not have made sense to just do it? But unfortunately, yeah. But they left it. They left it. And, yeah, now Mythic's still in it to win it.
Will that chance come back to bite the rest of the server?
Oh, man. Look at this. It's such a cluster of teams.
Yeah? Do you reckon?
I do like how split up Murky are. We've seen this strategy before. They got one player a little bit off to the side there, so they can create a little bit of a crossfire as well. Love to see it. 4 squads left, and they're slowly all closing in on each other. It feels like the perfect ring for this kind of setup as well.
I felt there's a lot of hard cover, right, with the rocks and what have you, but a lot of open space between them. That's rotations with. He's going to leave for an entertaining final few moments, so we'll give you that. Question is, of course, who's going to be the team to take the cake? Who's going to be the team to get the victory here in our second game of today? Second round, I should say. Pretty silent right now across the board. Just waiting for all hell to break loose. Who's going to be the team out on top?
as you say. Wait to see what shakes loose. Again, Murky quite split up. Now, they have a good spot here on the high ground, but they're in trouble. Because they could find themselves closed in on by 3 teams. I mean, instantly, Morito's going to get spotted out. So you're going to have to be very, very careful. Of course, he's on the eagle eye perch. He's going to try and spot out players rotating in if possible. Feed that information back to his team. His teammates should be watching his back as well. We'll see if they can help to keep him alive as... Oh, I was about to say we hit the calm before the storm, but a few of those pot shots come through once again. Morito spots out some players. He's going to have to dip back for a moment, but yes, can feed that information across and try to hold that entry point.
I just don't know how we survived at 4 squads and 12 players for so long. Like, I'm so surprised there at least hasn't been like 1 exit, 1 player dropped, you know? Still a little bit of time for that to change, and here we go. At least we're hearing some shots. Morito going to be cautious, taking some shots instead of retreating. It's time to go forward, and actually that's why, because Marsh dropped. It's LT Jobert to find the first of 3, and well, here's the response starting to come out here, and that Eva pumping in a lot of damage, switching out to the Eva, or to rather to the R301 to see if they can do any more. The wingman coming out as well here for about a Prince, and so much damage, but Prince of the West eliminated.
Imagine saying LT instead of Lieutenant. What a weirdo.
Well, hold on, let's syllable count. Lieutenant is 3, LT is 2.
Yeah,
so
but...
it's quicker to say LT than...
But who says LT?
Me, when I read it on the screen. Because while it does mean, as you said, Lieutenant, could mean...
Go on.
I don't know. Yeah, it could mean something, you know? It could mean something other than that. Like, I'm just...
I feel like you're reaching.
Well, you couldn't be too sure, you know?
This tunnel is still under lock and key. Mythic taking full control of that, but they're also getting fired in on from, like, behind them. So, in a bit of a tight spot here themselves. Trying to move their way in. Waiting for that circle to actually force them to have to rotate. Nobody wants to rotate when they don't need to, get caught out, lose some of that shielding, and have to use some of the little bit of utility they have available. So, rather try and slow it down a bit. But, of course, that does generally tend to leave things in a bit of a wild ending. Now we see Murky trying to close in from the outside. UTFT coming in through tunnel, and Mythic taking a lot of damage from both of these 2 teams firing in on them. You can see their shield slowly depleting.
Utility starting to get drained. Having a little pop off here. The old scout. As be cautious. 3 squads, 9 players left. And I feel like as this ring continues to close out here, we should be more or less going to a break in a few minutes, because this game should be cooked up in a matter of moments.
Cooked up, huh? You got that cooking game on the brain. I see.
I'm terrible at cooking. Genuinely a hard believer that if you gave me enough time, I'd find a way to burn the house down.
Jeez. My dad nearly did that today.
Well.
Yeah. Good times. Hot oil, stove.
Oh, yeah.
Bad combination, yeah.
Well, yeah. It would be. Anyway, here, ladies and gents. Starting to see some engagements happening here, Sam. Starting to see some action in the final few moments here. It's 50 seconds, the final round. Going to be expiring very, very soon, forcing them together. Everyone wants to be winning here. UTFT, of course, still in the picture. They want their way forward. They want their back-to-back wins here on our first map of World's Edge.
Oh, big sonar coming out, completely negating the smoke that was used there. So, full information gained, but is being pressed in upon by another player. So, you got to pick your battles. Find the more of 2 evils. Take that down before you end up down for the count yourselves. So, UTFT in a good spot. Yeah, I mean, look at their loadouts. Look how kitted they are. They're in a good spot. We're going to see some of those suppressive missiles coming through here. They did spot out that there's a team over here. They are fighting a battle on 2 fronts. So they are constantly in danger as Murky starts to make their way in. Looking for an opening. Looking for someone to just step out of line so they can slowly chip away at that armor. Oof. threading the needle there. A few shots coming through. Position is given away though, so does have to pull back. One of Mythic's players, 2 in fact down. Teddy, last person left alive. I thought it was UTFT under heavy fire, but no, it's the Uno reverse card as Mythic are completely eliminated. Now only 2 squads left alive here. Murky have made it all the way up to the 2nd position, but UTFT have been on such a tear this entire tournament, and that's not gonna stop now. They managed to win that out in a far less exciting fashion than the previous game, but a win is a win, and that's yet one more on their belts.
Indeed, they are the back-to-back champions here. Game 1, Game 2 is all them, and that'll see them through to even more points, even more definitive than the last UTFT, looking unstoppable here, of course. Back-to-back wins on World's Edge. Ladies and gents, we're going to go to a break. When we are back, we're here for Game 3, and we're here for Storm Point.
Round 2 of Playday 8, our semi-final, done and dusted. And wouldn't you know it, UTFT coming out on top once again. And honestly, it seems like the biggest change from round to round is who comes in second.
Yes, well, that is what this fight is for, right? This is what the ultimate goal is here. Who can be second to UTFT's dominance this season? That is certainly the act that we're going to go with here. But yeah, another brilliant display from them, and this is exactly why we're not even considering any form of comeback from the semi-finals here, because of course they are looking on fire. But at least it's nice to see different teams making the top spots throughout these games, though, right? We had a Murky in the top 2, if I'm not mistaken, and Mythic in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see some better performances. Obviously, Murky, one of the teams that we've been looking at, because in the first game, they unfortunately were only able to jump in with 2 of their players. They brought a third one on, and again, they started to perform a lot better. So, nice to see that it is competitive outside of that number 1 spot. And I'm starting to feel like, look, it is only season 1, so things might change as time goes on. But it feels like, you got the endpoints of the world, you got the UTFTs of the world, and feels like an ESL Prem thing. There's going to be a king, and so far, round after round, UTFT have that crown. So we can go ahead and take a look at our standings from that particular round. Mythic coming out with 16 points by the end of that. That is not too shabby. Only 1 point less than what UTFT came out with. And then, of course, Murky coming through with 16 as well, tied there in that second place spot. And from then, I mean, the top 3 teams got every single kill in this lobby. That is unreal.
Yeah, can't argue with that, can you? That's a massive number to put up with. The top 3, the fact that they've all managed to get all the kills between them is pretty staggering as well, of course. The points for placements, but Murky opening the gap back up now, and I do believe it's gonna keep pushing them up even further. We can have a look at the overall standings, wondering if they've moved positions. Indeed, they have. Chet's now fallen to 4th as Murky take 3rd, and something to note as well, behind the Franco-British Union, who are only a handful of points ahead. So the fight for 2nd, as we stated at the start of today, is still well and truly on.
And this is the thing. So in the very first game, I was like, oh, Franco-British Union, they've gone out first in the round, but they've still got a pretty sizable lead. They're not terribly concerned. They are still 3 games left. But after the second game, I'm like, oh, this isn't a really good look. And now we start to see why. Murky, they've just come off the back of a 16-point game, and they're only 22 points behind Franco, and there are 2 games left. So if Franco have 2 more rough games like they did in the first 2 rounds, then they could easily be usurped in that second place spot. But we'll take a look at today's overall standings so far. And of course, it's UTFT completely heading the pack. Mythic having a really, really good showing. But again, Murky, despite having only 2 players in the first round, right behind them in 3rd place.
That's crazy, as you said, that they took such a disadvantage in Game 1, yet they're still managing to keep up the pace of Mythic here. All 3 players back at the server, and they're on par with the Mythic side. I do want to talk about maybe UTFT a little bit more so, because, domination has been the word of this season, and they find themselves 15 points clear of 2nd place in today's standings in the first 2 games. That is unreal numbers from UTFT. And obviously, looking towards the bottom half as well, it is still very, very interesting to see that pack still very closed up. No team yet to find heroics through. And of course, that leaves us with a lot of questions heading into the last 2 rounds of today. Because of course, here, Sam, it's a different change-up. It's a different map. It's a different look here in the ESL Prem.
And speaking of, there've been some disappointing things. We had Preds of the West having a really good showing, a couple days back. They had some solid performances. Too Much Sauce, I'm glad to see that they're performing quite nicely as well. But there's a lot of the teams that really do need to start to step up a little bit more and start showing a bit more of that mettle. I think that when you get to this point in the tournament, you might start to feel pretty disheartened knowing that you're essentially out of contention, but I'd still like to see a bit more of a fight put up, see them kind of really fight back and try and take something. Even if we do see some of those crazy plays where like a team dives onto UTFT and tries to eliminate them before they're able to stack up any armor or whatever, right? Like, sometimes it's considered a bit of a BM play, but it could heavily influence how the rest of the tournament goes, and to have that kind of influence can really, really make a big difference. So I'd be curious to see if we do see some of that, but I am also really enjoying the fact that these teams are taking each of these games very seriously and truly playing their hearts out.
Yeah, and of course, leading into the last 2 games of today, I think that won't change, right? That is still going to be, in fact, I feel like you're going to be spurred on even more to play with your hearts and your soul in these games. Just because, of course, Sam, this is a semi-final. You've only got 1 more play day after this one. You've got to make up as many points as you can. So you're looking to do the damage in this one here. Can anyone usurp the UTFT side? That's what we're here to find out. It's a new look here in the ESL Apex Legends Premiership because, well, the map looks slightly different. It's a lot more green.
Yeah, it's a lot more terrifying.
It's brighter.
Yeah.
I should have gone with that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the storm off in the distance. I mean, Storm Point, you know. Oh, we've got some plants that look like the Demogorgon, Stranger Things. I don't watch that show. But
I was going to say, I've never watched Stranger Things, so...
Oh, thank God. Someone with sense.
Do you know, I don't watch, like, any TV or anything like that, like...
Okay, you lost me there.
Like, do you know what the worst thing is? I have a Netflix account and I pay for it, and I probably watch maximum a show every 2 months.
That just seems like poor budgeting.
I would like to say that I say I pay for Netflix. It's now included in like my broadband plan. So while I don't technically pay for it, like, well, we technically do, but it's part of the broadband now rather than like a separate.
I mean, that's fine.
A separate expense. So.
I was paying for like BritBox for the longest time, and then I realized I haven't used this in 3 months.
Oh,
so
yeah. It's always
sometimes you gotta do it.
Them auto renewing subscriptions that catch you off guard, and it's like, wow, I can't believe I've just spent my food budget on a Twitch subscription that I didn't even know I had until 2 weeks ago that I've been subbed for like 18 months.
Is your food budget for the month $5?
No.
What are you eating?
Grass on the ground. That's what I'm getting into, you know. The plot of land is expensive these days.
So we spoke a little bit about contestation. I mean, we got Cat Jam and UTFT right on top of each other here. Oh, he was firing at you, player. That's rough.
Just
These bullets? Nah, I can't be. Yeet. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out. Jack has been such a standout player for the squad, but unfortunately, yeah, he will go down. But the rest of his team is there to, well, have his back. That's Cat Jam, the first team eliminated. Oh, all right, calm down. He's got a family, dude. Right? You don't have to do him like that. But it's not the Franco-British Union this time, so hey, progress.
Progress, really.
We take those.
That's the high point that we're taking from it, right? That an early exit hasn't happened in the first 3.5 seconds of the game, and it's yeah. At least it isn't the normal.
To be fair, that was a very, very early down. Like, that is unreal.
Yes, and you start to think, obviously, with that first lot coming in, probably this game's going to be even slower, right, in terms of the early rounds, just because everyone is so split up. There's less people on the map. I mean, look at the bottom left-hand corner. You know?
There's nothing happening there.
They have a holiday.
Although that's a... I feel like that would be a bit of a difficult one to maneuver as well, because there's really tight... causeways, bridges that you have to cross, which could really catch you in a rough spot. So I think it makes a bit of sense to try and veer away from that. But yeah, given how things stand at the moment, where the circle's going to be, how these teams have to start moving in. I mean, you can already see quite a few teams are probably going to wind up in each other's lines of sight very, very quickly. And could end badly for them. Again, it's just that really early stage. Now that we've had that first engagement done and dusted, the one thing that I am curious about is whether we're going to see the same thing in the next game. Whether we're going to see those two teams, Cat Jam and UT, land in the same spot again, or if one of them is going to go, specifically Cat Jam, maybe we don't land here.
Well, you probably don't want to, you know, run it in straight to the same place as last time and have a simulation of the last game again. So you'd hope that they put 2 and 2 together. I say you hope because never be too sure, right? Sometimes teams will double down, you know, and it's like, don't do it the first time. Like higher likelihood it'll happen the second. So I don't know. We'll see. I would advise against it personally. But it just means more time to loot. No worries at all. It means we can talk more about life in general rather than what's in front of us.
So go on then. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Oh, no. Do you know what? That's super weird because I had a chat this morning with a few people literally about the exact same thing. And it was like, oh, yeah. I don't even know how the conversation turned to pizza, but it was like, oh, yeah, like pineapple on pizza. Someone was talking about like caramelized pineapple on pizza. I'm like, first of all, which posh like pizza place do you go to get caramelized pineapple on pizza? Second off, why are you having pineapple on pizza? To be fair, if you asked me this question a couple of years ago, I'd be so on board with it. But now, I've lost my taste for pineapple on pizza, and I think you're wrong for having it. I admit, I was one of them people, and I start to see the reason why I got flamed so hard.
I like pineapple on pizza, but I really enjoy like chicken with like a cranberry sauce and like some camembert cheese, you know? Just like really get into that artisanal.
I was gonna say that is the most like non-Domino's pizza I've ever had in my life. Like,
yeah, my family is so sick of the generic like ooh
like
ham, pepperoni,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So we go to these like artisanal pizza places where they do these like really great like fig and halloumi or whatever. Just like really go absolutely crazy.
Good. Halloumi on pizza sounds unbelievable.
Oh yeah. It's good. It's really good. These are a bit sweeter. They do have the more savory options. But yeah, it's pretty damn good. Not gonna lie.
I'm a big fan, I must admit, of the idea of having a halloumi pizza. That's got me a little bit hungry. Unfortunately, I've already eaten. Otherwise, I'd be looking into it maybe a little closer. But shame. Lots
A little bit of action
made,
here.
by the way. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
You say action like,
Yeah.
oh, when a team's eliminated. Just no.
No. I mean, I said it was action. I didn't say it was exciting action.
It's true. At least it isn't a looting simulator, you know. At least it was. But
I mean,
at least rounds of ammunition, exited guns. That's what we're getting at here.
yeah, and then loot. But I will say it's a good leg up for Murky.
Yes.
And this is a team that's already managed to snag a place for themselves in the top 3. So looking to try and make that a top 2 if possible. Getting very, very close to doing so. So this is going to potentially give them the leg up they need.
We'll see. Oh, bit rude.
Good thing there's no team damage.
Well, still, point stands. No need to, you know. Could have been a high five, you know, not a shot to the spine.
Ooh. Too much sauce yeeting out of there. That could have wound up in a fun little engagement, but instead they're going to reposition. Now, of course, up in the air, if they get spotted out, it could leave them in danger. Seems to be making it across all right. I love these little animations as they fly. Watson is so cute.
It is cool. It's probably like one of the like biggest esports titles. I feel like that has like the most active memes in, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like game made memes, that is, not in terms of like Twitch chat having fun. Whoa. All right. Do you see what I've just seen, or are we just gonna?
I missed that, to be honest.
Just straight through the building, like didn't just
Oh.
go through the roof, through the floor onto the ground.
Was there not a sunroof? I don't know. I missed that.
No. It's like a solid roof, and he's just
Okay.
gone through it, phased
Wow.
through.
Love to see it, I guess.
That is one cool ability.
I'll be honest, the only thing I was thinking while that was happening is how much Sia looks like Liu Kang.
Who?
Bro! Mortal Kombat?
No.
No?
No, I've never played a Mortal Kombat in my life.
Oh,
Sorry.
disgusting.
Sorry to disappoint.
Can I get a new co-caster? Somebody?
Anyone? You know? I'm just an FPS gamer, that's all I am. I just, you know, I like shooting things. Well, Chet's on the receiving end of that treatment right now, it seems. It is JLo trying to get stuck in. Nick Bod gone, Coach gone. Down to the one man here. Shield back going to be popped to at least give some space, but for Murky, they've got themselves a few points so far.
Jenny from the block in a little bit of trouble there. Last player left. Yes, thank you. You got the reference. Last player left alive on his team as well. But, I mean, Murky, once again, right? Just having a really, really solid day. Oh, UTFT went in for the kill. They knew, and now they're looking to push in, right? So they managed to eliminate Chet's second team to go down here after Cat Jam, and now they're looking to push in on the team that they know is up here to push in on Murky. And again, very early on in the round, they're going to come face to face with the team that they had to fight to maintain their first place position. Woo! And they are getting the hell out of there. That did not go the way they wanted.
But then again, we say that like Jack isn't firing absolute lead out of this R301 in the direction of the opposition. Removed. That is not ideal for UTFT. Then again, we've seen better from worse, so not going to be kicking themselves too harshly. And you really kind of feel like, you know, as much as people will say, yeah, we play with a level head every game, I think they themselves will know how good this season looked, and it doesn't really matter if they take one exit or so. They're going to be quite happy with the performance overall. As Jack falls into the jaws of Marsh, gets removed, down to 1 here for the UTFT side. Will that mean we get ourselves a new winner in round 3? I think that's pretty likely now.
That was a solid chuckles I'm in danger moment from Jack. Stuck in the tree, could not get anywhere. Now Nez last man left for his squad. I get the feeling he might just rat this one out. Just try and survive for as long as possible, get some placement points. And at the end of the day, I mean, they don't even need to. He could just run into an enemy team and go, hello! And it would make absolutely no difference in the grand scheme of things. So, meh! But we'll head over on this side, as it looks like there could just be another engagement. A team has just flown in from above and have been spotted out by, I believe that's Mythic, yes. Have spotted them out, so they might just try to push this.
That is a whole lot going on the plates of Mythic right now. At least they're able to survive enough and don't get encroached upon completely. I might have just eaten my words a little too soon. Teddy, getting a little bit wrecked there in terms of the HP department. Back away, Phoenix to use to try and get back up. Hemlock used by Denny here. Denny's sleeping. Got bored of writing his name. Nonetheless. To push in here. 6 squads left, 14 players alive.
Quick question. How old are you?
Wow. Personal. I'm 19.
That explains so much. Alright, chat, we forgive him.
Wait, was Twitch chat blaming me?
And then just everyone laughing at you going, who? At Liu Kang. But now we understand. Well, he's a Zoomer, folks.
I'm not having this whole like Zoomer conversation. Like, I don't stand for being called a Zoomer. It's just called being
I don't think
young.
you have a choice.
It's called being young, and you know, well, you say that like you're, like I'm some new, like I'm a newborn. Like actually.
I mean, I call anyone under the age of 25 a toddler, so.
Got a few more years. Until I'm deemed acceptable society
yes.
in your eyes, apparently.
Yes.
I can't believe it. What is this?
Yeah. It's ageism.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. Right.
I'll admit it. You know.
How dare? They were just young and youthful, you know.
I mean, everybody makes fun of me for being old, so I gotta get my own back.
How old are you?
29.
It's not that old. Just say that like you're, you know, on your final stretch.
Listen, I work in esports, alright?
Yeah.
I'm a literal grandma in esports age.
Esports doesn't have a ticking time bomb. I mean, look at Thorin, you know?
I'd rather not, to be honest.
No flame to him, you know, I'll keep him partial. You know, he's not, I think he's he's not the most liked guy, but, I mean, how old is Thorin? He's like, well into his life, you know?
I just love that we casually just calling Thorin a boomer on a completely unrelated broadcast. It's great. I'm here for it.
I was trying to double check. I've googled Thorin age and it says 195 years old. Don't think that's correct. Don't think that's correct.
No, I think that's absolutely correct.
Born in March 5th, 1983. So.
Oh, he's 39.
Go. So he's nearly 40. He's 39 years, 8 months, 21 days old.
Listen, there's a reason they call him the esports historian. All right.
Wow. That's a bit rude.
It is what it is, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I like Thorin. I think a lot of people hate him for what he says, but I think you just gotta laugh at it, you know, because you know, like when he's making those tweets, he's just laughing because he knows he's gonna get a reaction. Maybe that's just me being a little, as you said, like an actual zoomer and
yeah, probably.
Just trying to find everything funny. Then again, I say that like I find ISO speed absolutely not annoying whatsoever. And honestly, that's a conversation.
Don't say that on a live broadcast. Your DMs are gonna explode.
I'll say it. I don't think there's anyone here that will... Well, there should be no one here that disagrees with me. That kid is annoying as all hell.
Anyway, Franco Brits are out.
Surprise, surprise.
Hooray! Who didn't see that one coming? 5 teams left. 3 of them circling each other here. Marsh on an epic mission. See if he can get anything done. Bit of an interesting one to be sending on this mission because he's a seer. It's not like he's like terribly mobile. Oh, Morito. Oh, the 2 of you are potentially in so much trouble right now. Okay, no, they're alright. They didn't manage to run into anyone just yet, but I do find it a little scary how close these teams are.
I mean, and the next circle's coming in the next 20 seconds, you know, the ring's just going to get even smaller, and so you feel like in the next minute or so, all hell is gonna break loose, and could be the end of the show quite quickly here. The trading of shields, I don't know. Is there any benefit to that?
Yeah, depending on what position you're playing in, if you're going to be taking a slightly more aggressive stance, or if you're playing a little bit further back. Yeah, so it does depend. Very often, I remember particularly back in the Watson days, so you would have a Watson set up like an Omega bunker, and then you would send out like a Wraith, for example, and they'd go out and they would just like collect shields, and they'd bring them back, put them down in the bunker, so that if you got pressed in on, you could just like hot swap shields. I mean, that was a dark day in Apex history, I'll be honest.
That's a long day in the broadcast.
Yeah, no, those games went on for like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. It was, wasn't great. Glad we've moved past that.
See here. What's gonna break loose? Some gunfire, the flat line of Teddy finding the mark a little bit here. Press his nose to the door to make sure no one can come in. Respect it, you know. Gotta have a look, see who's on the other side. Who's knocking on my door?
Look at Nez. He's just ratting out for days. Everyone up on the higher ground, and he's just like, don't see me, don't see me, don't see me.
Crack. Good damage. Marsh has to take a second to regain his thoughts and compose, ready for the fights. Getting the old reload in without actually reloading. Do enjoy that. Probably my favourite thing, being as lazy as I am. Not having to press the R key. Useful.
Preds of the West were taken down as well off screen. So down to the last 4 squads here. Good posturing as well across the board. Again, Nez just hiding out, trying to play for that positioning. Doesn't want to take any fights. He'll take a peek every now and then, see if anybody's pushing into him, take a couple of pot shots. But for the most part, he's trying to play it safe. Trying to just stay alive a little bit longer. Nice to see Too Much Sauce have also managed to survive for quite a while into this lobby. Only 10 players left alive. How are you still in this? How are you still... Like, he's still trying to maybe get one kind of, like, rotation kill. You know, if you could just get one more, you know, like, booyah! Bless him. We'll take that attempt. As the zone continues to close in, he's going to be forced to rotate soon, so in a tight spot, he's probably not going to make it into the next round.
It feels like every team at a bit of a deficit right now, obviously for UTFT and Too Much Sauce. Lost some players respectively. As mentioned, with that ring closing in even further, I'm wondering who's going to be forced out. Respect the votes taken here. Ah, well, that is a slight issue. That, however, is, yeah. Dead meat, I feel like, is the phrase to be using here. No way Nez is surviving.
Yeah, I mean, the chances of him surviving into this next round are, like, slim to 0. Oh, Too Much Sauce with a very, very familiar-looking strat here. Tightly in a little corner with the Watson. while the zone closes in, putting up some barriers as well, just in case anyone tries to push in. And they're just gonna like sit there and wait for the zone to continue to close. How is Nez managing to rotate into the circle and has not been spotted out? This smoke has come in so clutch. It is unreal. But he's still alive at the moment as these teams just continue to circle around each other. He's doing damage. He's cracked someone's shield. He just keeps going.
I respect it. Trying to really apply the pressure here. Shield battery going to be used like he was never even touched by the opposition. I was going to say, I'm surprised that we haven't seen any gunfire just yet, but now it's all starting to kick off. Murky looking to apply some fire from the rooftops. Given a really good position right now, you know, sitting above everyone in terms of height. Yes. There we go, firing off the bow once again, giving it a good shot. Nothing to be found, and wants to play a more passive game to see if he can secure any more points for his team based upon placements. Here's a good fight, though, with Mythic up against it.
And there you go, Nez does eventually get taken out, but there's more there. Too much sauce also in the mix. They were trying to get the Nez kill. Now it's down to these last two teams as they circle into each other around this rock. Ooh, Horizon flying up into the sky. Does get cracked, but manages to survive. Manages to throw out a few arc stars, getting a lot of good damage out. And finally, Dennis will go down. Murky do have the upper hand here as they'll get one more down. Now only one player left alive they have to deal with, and that's going to be Murky taking a win for themselves. They've slowly been improving round after round today, and it's finally paid off.
That's really well played. Finally, it isn't UTFT, but a very, very solid, turn of affairs in the late set game, giving, of course, the victory over to the lads you see on screen. It's Murky here that win game 3. Ladies and gents, we're going to go to a break. When we are back, it's our 4th and final game of today. It's Storm Point, our last one, to see who will come out on top.
And that's it. Round 3 done and dusted with a brand new victor coming out on top of that lobby. Murky, they've been putting in the work. The first round, they managed to get 2v3s for themselves. The second round, they get their player back in, but they're just not able to come out on top. I think they came out 3rd or 2nd in that one. And finally, they're able to win themselves a lobby. Huge props to them. And they took out most of UTFT in that as well.
Yeah, to be fair, did a really good job in coming for the throat of the kings of the ESL Premiership here for Apex Legends, and a really nice job, of course, for them. Mythic getting a fairly high placement as well in this game is always nice to see, because obviously they're still fighting for the dollars in this event, and so it's really nice to see, of course, that they're going to try and play the game of chase to chets. But of course, it is Murky the champions here, Sam, and well, moving on into our 4th and final game. Is there a chance, we'll see in just a moment on the standings, for obviously Murky to try and push up even further?
So I think, if I remember right, I was saying that they were 22 points behind our 2nd place team in Franco Brits. I think that was what it was. And if I'm not wrong, we're going to have our round standings now. They got 20 points in that game. So if my maths is correct, if my memory is correct, they are 2 points behind our 2nd point team. If they have a good 4th game, they could snag that 2nd place position. And that is amazing, because they started today in 4th position.
I think you forgot the 2 points off of the Franco-British Union in that game.
Yeah,
but you are
there
correct.
You go. I was so close.
You know what? I'll give it to you, because I think you just, sometimes when people take such early exits, you forget they actually get points because of the little amount of teams we have in the server. So they do get 2 points here, the Franco-British Union. And as you rightly pointed out, it is literally our last game to see if they can push up to 2nd place, where they started in 4th at the start of today, right? So they've done a really good job overall. Heading into our 4th and final game of today, they're 100% going to be pushing for that silver medal into the into the final day, I should say, of the ESL Premiership Apex Legends. We can have a look, of course, at the overall tally, and we can see that maybe there is an opportunity for UTFT to not finish in pole position in today's games. 5 points behind them, of course, is Murky. 3 points behind them is Mythic. The middle of the pack has been separated very quickly here from the top of the pack. Too Much Sauce in 4th. And then it's joint 5th, 6th right now. Cat Jam and Preds of the West, of course, taking the 5th and 6th slot. And one final game to see who can beat each other in that department as well. And the Franco-British Union are only a single point behind Chets here, so definitely doable that they could overtake.
Yeah, things are looking really, really spicy now in the top half of the bracket. Definitely starting to see some of those teams rising up, and I love to see that kind of mad push to try and get yourself into placement position, right? We spoke about how this is the 2nd last day. It is our semi-final. We're going to have our very last game of the day, so last chance to get those points in for today. And then on Friday, I know I said Saturday a little earlier, but it is Friday in 2 days' time, we will have our grand final. 4 more games as these teams duke it out to get their final placings. But the groundwork they make today will, of course, make a huge difference. And I'm really impressed by Murky. I've loved how they've played today. We started the day talking about how some teams really need to kind of step up a little bit, and I think that Murky was definitely one of those teams we had on our radar of teams that had a lot of potential but needed to wake up a little bit. And if today's performance is anything to go by, I think our grand final could be a bit of a banger.
Certainly could be, and as you said, it isn't exactly like this is the do-all end-all. There's still a day, 4 more games to kind of create that difference, but it was a chance of chase, right, to try and catch up, to try and put yourself in a better position heading into that final day, Sam, and that's exactly what they're looking for here. Our 4th and final game happening in just a few moments' time. I'll ask a question to you. Do you think UTFT are going to make it 3 out of 4, or do you reckon we're going to have a new winner again?
I feel like after losing a round, maybe they kind of have that kind of surge of energy, right? And they start to kick back a little bit harder than they had previously. I mean, they already started the day off great, but then they lose a round, and I think they kind of bolster themselves a bit. So I think we could see them winning out, yeah. Again, though, we did mention Storm Point, a little bit of a wild card for a lot of teams. That could be the difference maker. I'm going to be looking to kind of Cat Jam, who had basically landed on top of UTFT earlier. So we'll see if that does actually happen again. Who knows? Maybe UTFT get, yeeted out very, very early on, but I don't know. If history is anything to go by, they're probably coming through this one on top as well.
Probably. We'll see. I think there's chances, you know. I see the Twitch chat's loving a little copy pasta right now. And I see the memes don't stop here.
Yeah. We keep memeing. Well. I'll be real, I got baited by that pasta the other day. I was so sad.
Did you?
I did. I was like, what do you mean, biased caster?
You can tell.
Oh.
It's alright.
I was so sad.
Is that the boomer coming out?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. I'm really messing. No.
I love how nobody landed in the zone. Everyone landed fairly close to the zone, but nobody in it. And Cat Jam, nowhere near UTFT this time, learned their lesson, decided, you know what? Maybe we don't push that. Maybe not.
Fair enough. We'll see for the time being. I think everyone rotating on in could be a fun one to have a look at, because of course you're all going to kind of meet at the edge of the ring, the first circle, sort of all at the same time. You're going to spend as much time looting up as possible and making sure you're ready to head towards the middle. Ultimately, though, I don't think there's too many issues right now. No one's landed on top of one another, so it's going to be a very slow start here to our fourth and final round of today. Chilling. And the fact that the circle's obviously in the bottom part of the map, always a fun one to look at as well.
And so far away, like we've noticed this, you know, over on World's Edge, everyone was landing towards the south, or rather towards the north. No, south. Yes, the north was empty. On this map, you've got everybody landing towards the north. Now the circle's down towards the south. There'll be a couple of teams who could potentially get themselves into a good spot to set up, get ready for when those teams do start to move in, but for the most part, it's going to be a mad scramble to find a spot, to find a position, to catch rotations where possible. Ooh, gonna do the thing. Whee. God, that's so cool. Could you do that IRL?
Well, I think the closest you'd get to it is like a skydive, or like in a circus and getting shot out of a cannon.
I don't mean literally that. I just like, if that was a thing, do you think you could do it?
No.
Okay.
I hate heights so much. I'm so much fun at like theme parks, right? I'll go on the rides, but either I close my eyes or I just hold my breath the entire thing, and I'm just like, I'm so tensed up, like I'm squeezing as if like it's gonna help.
Why do you do that to yourself if you know you hate it?
To be fair, I've gotten better. I used to like really hate it. Now it's like it's at a tolerable level.
Fair enough.
I think like in the UK, Thorpe Park, we have like the fastest ride that goes like 0 to 60. It's in like 2 point something. So I'm never touching that ride in my life. Just because I know I will scream like a child.
I had a friend come visit me from Sweden, and I took him to a theme park here in South Africa.
Right.
And he thought that he could defy centrifugal force.
Right.
So we went on one of those rides that you stand, and it's like a circular one, and it just like spins forever. Okay, oh, I thought that was a fight. Never mind. And it just like spins, right, really fast, and then it like tilts up, and you like go up into the air, and it's like spinning, right. And the centrifugal force pushes you back against the thing. So you just you lie back and you enjoy the ride, right? No worries. My friend somehow did not realize this, and so he had stuck his neck forward.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, ah, oh, it's so uncomfortable. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, lie back.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Suddenly when he did that, it wasn't so painful anymore. Bless him.
It's alright. You know, it takes a minute to get used to it, but it's alright. Learn the ropes eventually.
Learned the ropes of physics.
Yeah. Clearly didn't stick around in school. Then again, neither did I. Like an idiot. So here we are.
Stay in school, kids.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. By the way, yeah. Do stay in school. Don't pull a me. Don't pull a me. Stay in school.
Yeah. I stayed in school mostly.
You got like a degree or anything, or are you just like
busy with the degree, in fact, because I dropped out of. Like, I stayed in high school, dropped out of uni, wasn't smart, so finishing that.
Well, at the moment you're finishing the degree.
Yeah, came back, decided to finish it.
What's your degree in?
Psychology.
Okay. Can you read my mind?
No. What?
Just shot in the dark, really, isn't it? If you'd have said yes, that would have been mega cool. I'd be like, what? I know psychology isn't mind reading people. Like, I'm not that stupid. I mean, like, we're getting there, but yeah, I'm not. I don't believe psychology.
See, that's why you should stay in school, kids.
Yes, yeah. Ever a deterrent to not leave, then that's the one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think if I ever went to uni, it would be in like computer science or like design. I was actually a DT student. I was a pretty good DT student, so maybe doing like design and technology. I couldn't do anything to do with numbers or. That was a shame. I was about to comment on the game and be like, yo! And 6 shots, but then he just missed everything.
Yeah, I had high hopes, and
yeah. I think, I can't do anything to do with like science or maths just because I'm so stupid at both. I nearly failed my maths in A levels, which is like the thing that you use for grades to apply uni. So I nearly only had 2 A level results instead of 3, but I got an E. It's alright.
An E is alright. Hold up.
It's not alright. No, it's not.
Okay.
So we don't have. It's alright for me because I hated maths. Like I cannot describe to you how much I hated maths. And I love my teachers, but I just could not wrap my head around the numbers. You ask some of my friends, I genuinely fail at basic maths. Never mind like the stuff that was getting taught to me in like, my 13th year of maths.
Well, this is why we say don't do maths on stream.
Well, not even that. When I'm not on stream, I struggle to differentiate my lefts and rights some of the time. So, imagine what I'm like with numbers.
You're exposing a lot about yourself today. I'm not gonna lie.
Genuinely, this is why I reckon this is one of the reasons why I suck at playing games like Apex and like battle royales in general. Is because I can't. Like, I'm like, they're on the left when they're actually on the right, but because I just panic so much, I just say left when they're on the right, and then it's like, yeah. It's like, so I have to resort to like pinging and being like over there, which is like the most loosely terrible call out you could give, but
you see those things where like FPS players will post a map and they'll be like, what do you call this spot? And everyone is commenting there.
Yeah, that is me. That is me.
Sometimes say I'm more of like a he's close left kind of caller,
Again, if I was to do that though, if you were in a game with me,
you'd be in trouble.
You'd be looking right. You'd be looking right, honestly. You liar! They're not there. Something to note, by the way. We haven't had any early exits, I do believe, in this game so far. Usually we already had the one early engagement. That's why we were talking about life for so long, because it feels like, we've been here 10 minutes or so already in this game? 9-10 minutes, I think. And, do you know what? No fights have broken out whatsoever. Like, everyone's actually kept to their ground. No one's challenging one another.
We might have one soon, though.
Yeah,
you saw that positioning there. 2 teams kind of posturing at each other. One of them is going to have to move eventually, so that could become a danger. Oh, look, it's the Watson bunker meta. Oh, here we go. Too much sauce. Taking those pot shots across while Watson sets up their little hidey hole. And whatever team is on that island is going to be in a lick of trouble. They're going to have to either rotate all the way around or brave the fire from too much sauce. Move on over to Cat Jam. Not spotting too much themselves. This is a really quiet game in comparison to the previous 3.
Very, very, like, eerily quiet. As I said, everyone's like bunkering up and just chilling. Spending their time just vibing, really. Everyone's just going to allow the ring to get a little smaller. Of course, it favours those that are already in the ring, have themselves to read to the late game. For others, obviously, are going to have to get a move on, and I fear that we're going to start to see those fights happen in the next 2 minutes or so.
Try to imagine the Watson meta and casting that.
Yeah. Oh, and he bunkers. Oh, and he bunkers up. Yeah.
Oh, this is...
Whoa, it's a bunker, but it looks different. Wow.
No.
You know. Go on.
I'm trying to remember this legend's name. I'm having like the blankiest blank of my life.
I'll let you get there. You got this.
It has something to do with walls, towers. But point being, pretty rare to see him out and about. I think this might even be the first time that we've seen him on the field. I don't think... Newcastle! There you go.
Yeah, I've got it. I had it. But I wanted to let you, like, a little bit more.
Definitely believe that.
To be fair, I did have to, did have to put it up on the other monitor real quick. Just to double check. 'Cause do you know how funny it would have been if I was like, yeah, it's like, you know, Newcastle, and then his name wasn't actually Newcastle, and then you'd have laughed. Like, I would have been the one that would have been laughed at more there. So I had to confirm it to not look like an idiot. Is my point. But,
Gotcha.
I know you're not going to buy that whatsoever, but
no, not even a little bit.
that's up to Twitch chat to decide.
But that is an interesting one, right? So he's that slightly more bunker legend as well. But they've got the Horizon and the Watson. So quite a bit of mobility available there. There's a lot of posturing. And this is the thing, like there's so many places for teams to hunker down. But look at where that next ring is. I mean, this is going to turn into an absolute mess as those 3 towers up towards Gale Station are going to have to move down towards where the ring is. They're going to run into each other. Not to mention the 2 teams on the far extremity. One of them, of course, being Murky, who are literally in Narnia at this point, but still trying to make sure that they get some really good placement so they can try and snag that second place spot. So, I mean, this is going to get very, very dicey very quickly. If either of the 3 teams posturing towards Gale Station if they stay where they are, they're going to get fired on, which is currently what's happening. They're caught between 2 teams at extremities. But if they try to move and rotate around, they're going to be directly in the line of fire of Murky. So, yeah, tough spots all around for some of these teams.
Still so surprised that we haven't seen everything just explode and happen at once. You know, we've still got 8 squads left, 23 people. No exits. We're in our 3rd ring. 30 seconds until it gets to move on. Let us know your thoughts here in our 4th and final round of today by using hashtag ESLPrem or at ESLUK, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Drop us an app. Let us know what's going on. How's your day going?
That was the left side. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I had to put my hands up in front of my monitor. Joking. You know, like I pre-rehearsed it in my head a little bit though. But yes.
Bless your heart.
Hashtag ESLPrem at ESLUK on Twitter. Drop us a follow as well, because of course, as we were kind of hitting towards earlier, I mean, not that it's confirmed, but I doubt that this is just going to be the one and done for the ESL Apex Legends Premiership. I fear that, you know, a lot of people will think not the case. There's going to be 100% another look in to see if we can do another season of ESL Apex Legends Prem. And of course, as soon as we know, you'll know. So the first place to find out, of course, is our social media. Look how close these teams are, though, together. I'm looking in the right-hand side of my screen. I'm seeing UTFT. Obviously, they're going to want to get in on the action for those kill points. More crucially, that's 4 teams now aiming at one another.
But Mythic, I'm actually quite impressed because they were one of the teams rotating in from an extremity. So they've actually managed to make their way in here completely unscathed, which is huge. And of course, it seems like they're going to be the catalyst that the game needed to start launching into something happening, as instantly they're trying to contest for a spot here. They've come in from the outside. They need to find a position to hunker down in, and they've immediately found Cat Jam. So we might finally be seeing one of our teams going out here. If Mythic do decide to push this Cat Jam, they can chill. If Mythic pull out, they don't have to chase it. They don't have to try and take that fight. But Mythic, on the other hand, in such a dangerous position, they need to find some space. They need to find a position to move into.
Just waiting for the bubble to pop and for everyone to start laying hell at one another. Right now, it's not the most interesting of scenarios. We have lost another player, but ultimately, chances for everyone to get stuck in. Sunny does drop one. Important to note, of course, in this scenario that as soon as these players start getting dropped, of course, you're going to start wanting to force fights. You're going to start wanting to gutting out these players and these teams and get higher up in the placement. So this is where sort of the domino effect happens. One player falls, the rest kind of follow.
Mythic still trying to find an entry point for themselves. Caught out by another team from behind. Need to be very, very wary here. Oh, a little bit pushing through the smoke. Remains not taking the shot. Again, that's just info for now. Let that player move back. Let them think that it's safe. But now, oh, the push does come out there. Managing to do quite a lot of damage here. Getting one player down. Oh, but Dennis and Teddy are both down. And it's all down to one player to try to keep them alive. And this Mythic is taken down. Catjam still barely in this. They're able to bring their player back up. But the third party is coming in strong. I think they've managed to survive, though, just for now. As too much source start to rotate in. They also want to try and take a third party if possible. But no. Seems for now. There you go, Catjam. Get eliminated.
Gone.
That was 3 squads in the blink of an eye.
That was very quick. That's what we expected, right? We knew as soon as one fight was going to break out, everyone was going to want to jump in on the action and get those kill points. Of course, others want to just play for placement. Starting to note, of course, UTFT still in a pretty good spot. We're looking a little bit to their right, and the fight's breaking out there. Nick has taken some serious damage, has to back away and get the shields back in. For UTFT, of course, they've still got 3 players alive, which is massive. We know what they're like in these positions. We know that they're a team that cause some serious issues and a real threat and a danger to the opposition. And look, Nez just wants to get stuck right in.
And there's the fun part of the Newcastle, right? Give yourself a little bit of room to work with, but that could come in clutch a little bit later as too much source finally does go down. Down to the last 3 teams left alive. UTFT, of course, hot in the thick of it, in the middle of the next circle, but one player already having gone down. Chets will go down. It's down to the last 2. It's UTFT. The Newcastle is trying to stay alive. He's trying to keep himself afloat as the last team starts to move in. 3 versus 3 here. They do manage to get their last player back up and into the fray. Shielding back online, spots out the Wraith, so is going to start to put a chunk of damage into that, taking damage himself though, so needs to be really wary. One player already down again for UTFT, only 2 players left in this, but they've done a lot of damage to the other side. Can they somehow come out on top of this again? 1 player left, it's Nez. He's down to the clutch. He's done it before. They've actually managed to get a res up, and they do it indeed. UTFT with the final victory of the day. That was the most chaotic we've had, just because it was delayed for so long, and when it kicked off, blink and you missed it.
That was fun. That was really enjoyable, in all honesty. It was one that they deserved to win. A lot closer than maybe they'd have liked it, but it was a fun one to watch at the end of it all. UTFT, they get themselves 3 out of 4 today, and of course we'll push them further and further into first place. Ladies and gents, we're going to go to a break. When we are back, we can break things down and talk about the finals.
And that's it. That's our 4th round done and dusted here at the ESL Legends, Apex Legends Premiership. And what a last game it was. UTFT asserting their dominance once more, coming out on top of that one. And with the slightly off-meta pick of the Newcastle as well. That was a really enjoyable match to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it boiled up to such a late point, right? It was really, really fun. And yeah, it's an enjoyable watch nonetheless. Of course, UTFT, as you would have expected, right? They're the team that have just had the best win rates all season, and they deliver once again. They get themselves through. And I don't think there's any denying that they're going to be #1 overall. But maybe there's arguments now that can be made. I don't know how the middle of the pack stands. You know, from 2nd to 10th, I really don't know how this one's going to look.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the kind of murky Franco-British Union matchup. Which one of those two teams is going to be sitting in that 2nd place position? I think that both teams have done a lot of work here, particularly Murky, to try and close that gap. And Franco-British Union survived for quite a while in that last map as well. So we can go ahead and take a look at those standings and find out for 100% sure what's happened. They stole the points after this particular round has Franco-British Union at 16 and Murky with only 2, which means that the gap will have widened slightly in that 2nd to 3rd place position. But of course, UTFT with a 20-point game with 8 kills. Unreal.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame UTFT for doing so well. Obviously, with the win under their belts as well as more or less maximum points. Franco-British Union doing a very good job in 2nd, and as we have a look in the greater scheme, Murky just about holding on to 2nd place in today's standings, only by 3 points over Mythic. The Franco-British Union, with that last game there, pushes them up 3 spots overall, and that takes them to 5th in today. Wondering how that's going to look in the overall standings, though, because of course, that fight for 2nd place is still well and truly on heading into the finals. The Franco-British Union pushing themselves a few more places up. And there we have it. Overall standings, Franco-British Union 2nd, Murky 3rd, Chet's 4th, Mythic 5th. That fight for 2nd place between Murky, Chet's and the Franco-British Union is still very well and truly on.
Well, I missed the opportunity during today's standings, but with UTFT getting 69 points overall for the day, can we get a nice in chat? But there you go, 453 points. Unbelievable. But of course, Franco-British Union, with that incredible game, that last game, they put themselves again at around a 20-point lead ahead of Murky. We spoke about how important this last game was going to be, setting the precedent into our grand final in 2 days' time. And while the gap is still very, very close, I mean, even Mythic could very, very realistically get into that 2nd place. Well, maybe not 2nd place, but they could get into like top 4, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for teams. They could maybe even get it into the top 3. Depending on how well they perform. So I'm very curious to see how that kind of top 5 is going to shape up. There's still quite a lot of play to get done in that grand final, 4 whole games, but UTFT, we know for sure they're coming out on top of this one. 15 wins over the course of the season and 453 points. I know we talk about them a lot, but let's be real, that is ridiculous.
Indeed, and I think that's us done for today, right? Obviously, we got the 4 games done and dusted, and that'll be us saying goodbye. Obviously, we still got one more day, that finals day on Friday, Sam, to see who is going to be crowned. We have the feeling, we have the knowledge, at least, who it should be. The question is there going to be any other upsets, and how does it look in the middle of the pack?
Absolutely. Well, as you said, that is our day done and dusted. So a few thank yous must be said. So let me just quickly throw that out there. Thank you so much to production for being absolutely fantastic. Thank you to all of you watching at home. You guys make this super, super fun and enjoyable, and I hope that you had a lot of fun as well. Thank you to the players who show up consistently and play and try their very, very best. And of course, a huge, unbelievable thank you to our sponsors, without whom this would not be possible. Intel, Aegon by OC, and Logitech, our phenomenal sponsors in this. And that will be the semi-final of the ESL Premiership Apex Legends, powered by Intel, wrapping on up. We'll see you guys on Friday for the grand final.